Already, here we go.
We should play,
When the politicians keep politicking, before you turn to excessive drinking, spend some time collectively politinkering with the show where I don't know, man. 'Cause the truth is, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't
Oh, it is you. That is you doing the ba ba ba. I was like, that's not part of the song.
yeah.
Hello, all my politinkerers. Is that better?
No.
No. All right. We'll come up with a demeaning name for y'all.
Actually, yes, I'm sorry. It is better.
It's better. It's not good, but it's better.
Yes, it is better. Well, you're going to answer the question is yes, then.
Fine, then. I'm right again. So I'm your host, as always, Sean Fau.
Hi, Sean.
Hi,
Hello.
Shawnee.
And joining me again, as always, is the fine, distinguished gentleman of the half round. We have Mr. Joseph Bonier.
Hey, how's it going?
Bonnie lies over the ocean. And as always, Mr. Sean, oh my God, O'Brien.
Cheers.
Yay.
We got a little drink going here, guys. Let everyone cheers real quick.
Yeah, a little...
Get a little cheers now.
little
Valentine's Day cheers.
Oh, yeah. To the loveless romantics out there.
And the lovers.
Screw those fuckers.
Do you mean loveless from a perspective of being love without love, or not having love bestowed upon them?
I
don't know why. Whatever. I don't even. Okay, fair enough.
So,
is that a question? Do we know?
Well,
go ahead.
In honor of the holiday about to befall us all, fictitious though it may be, what is love? Maybe don't hurt me.
It's very fitting then.
Yeah.
What is love?
Does love exist? Is love an emotion? Is love a chemical? Is love something that you can actually tangibly quantify? Is it possible? Is it just a mixture of other emotions? Is it just a term that we give to a broad spectrum of nothingness?
Should have brushed up on my poetry. What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me.
Well, Joey, what is love?
Well, okay. Wow. I wasn't expecting you to throw it to me. Okay. But yeah.
Catch, motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm done talking, so it's your turn.
Okay. I'll say it's the feeling of a special connection between people.
Why does that have to be a connection?
Why does it have to be people?
I know. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be people. I regret the people. It could be a love between animals.
Do you think animals can love?
Well, we can love an animal, maybe.
Shit, we
So
haven't
then
even
it has to be
defined what
people.
love
Does
is.
it have to be?
There
I
we
guess
go.
the question
What
is,
is love?
does it have
Baby,
to be
don't hurt me.
reciprocal?
Are we going to do that the whole time?
I can't stop.
God damn it. I guess that's fair.
You guys can't see it, but Sean is actually bopping his head to the "What is love" thing the entire time. He hasn't stopped.
No.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't think we can sing it.
Yeah,
Can
any
we?
further, we'd have to pay. Yeah, we're okay.
Okay.
Because we can just say, "Baby, don't hurt me."
As long as we
time.
comment
don't have to
on it, I
sing
think
it.
we're okay.
Yeah.
I just feel like it makes it worse if we don't comment on it.
Right. We have to
Or
comment on it.
if we
because-
do comment on it, it makes it worse.
commenting on it makes it.
I should not be drinking scotch. This is a
parody.
bad idea. I'm fucked.
Oh, you're fine, man.
I'm going to get all emotional and
I'm
shit.
on my second Long Island
point-
This
iced
is the
tea.
funniest thing in the world. We just have to go there real quick.
Go
So
for it.
Sean previously had never really liked drinking, right? I was a horrible Irishman, for that matter, with my fellow namesake, mind you. So for years,
I'm
I've known
capable
Sean.
of drinking.
I
I just
know,
don't.
exactly. You don't like the taste. Sean's
Yeah.
always said, he's like, I don't like the taste, which was fine. I've always respected that. It's cool. I show up today, and Sean's like, yeah, I've begun. He's like, you want a drink? He's got like a whole little fucking bar set up. I'm like, yeah, sure, maybe. And he goes, yeah, I've begun drinking Long Island iced teas, which to me is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. It's the equivalent of being like, I think I'm gonna start doing drugs. Let's start with heroin. I don't.
Yeah.
It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, or heard rather. Anyway, cheers.
It's a magical mix of ratios that undoes each other.
Right, that
So-
was the point. Right, it's
Yeah.
like I dislike the taste of alcohol, but I enjoy the sensation, and thus juice. It's fantastic that like all of this alcohol can not taste like alcohol.
I'm not even sure I enjoy the sensation so much as I disdain society.
Okay,
but
sure.
yeah, you know.
So the alternative is better.
Yeah, numbing
with
of
you
the
there.
senses is always in favor.
Cheers. sir.
But back to the question: what is love?
What is love? Let's
Baby,
define
don't
it.
hurt
So
first.
wait, I said it was a special connection. Do you
You're
guys agree?
wrong. You're fucking
special
totally-
connection between
terrible.
two people.
There's no way to define them. Can you?
Yeah,
That's fair.
It's not that you're wrong. It's just that the terms aren't clear enough. So a special connection between two people. Well, why can't it just
You're
be
right.
the one person? It's,
It can be a friend.
Well, no. The connection is what I oppose to. It's what I'm saying is it a question of is it something ethereal or is it something scientific? Is it something rooted in?
Is it
is it
quantifiable?
quantifiable? Right.
No, it's not quantifiable.
You sure?
No, I'm not.
What
I
if
mean,
you take a look at the way that your heart rate rises, the way that your kind of your basic sexual drive goes up, the way that your brain actually fires? If you put someone in an MRI and and ask them to are the very first time they sort of feel love, what we all call as love, how is that not quantifiable?
So is that stimuli? So love is just stimuli?
It could be, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's the what we call the scientific phenomenon of the grouping of experiences, right? The kind of loss of not experiences, but the grouping of sensations, the loss of appetite, the kind of increased heart rate, the general kind of numbing of the pores.
But let's say
sweating.
you don't have those symptoms. Who's to say that person is not in love?
A scientist looking at it, saying quantifiably you aren't in love, you fucking
yeah, but
liar.
that's,
Well,
so
yeah, but
really,
my-
you have to have those symptoms to say you're okay. Go ahead.
Yes,
my understanding
depends on how you define it. Go
I
ahead.
guess so.
My understanding of that, though, is that most people in the we'll say scientific or brain studies wouldn't necessarily quantify that as love. Those symptoms that you speak of are usually only present in the first portion of a relationship. Those symptoms usually subside after 6 months to a year or so. So those heart palpitations
Right.
of first encountering
So
someone.
then they could no longer be in love; they're just in friendship, and
Well,
they're under
yeah.
obligation. And
Yeah,
I mean, thing.
most of those quantifiable things, though, are more associated with infatuation and procreation
Right.
than they are actually what most people consider to be love.
Sure,
Well,
that's why
that's-
love itself might be a misnomer. I don't think it's an
I think-
appropriate term, necessarily speaking,
To be in
scientifically
love.
speaking. Yeah,
I think it's
scientifically
really interesting.
speaking, I think it's not. I don't think that there's. I don't think personally there's a way that you can call it whatever you want, but you're right. That is more of an infatuation. There is a way to quantify love. I would say so.
You're right. There are love.
If that's what you're calling it, like love at first sight. And then
Yeah.
there's the kind of love and devotion. There's a devotion kind of thing, and the same sort of sensation you feel towards someone who, a family member, like way down the line. Obviously, is that the same thing as love, or is that a devotion? What is that?
As a registered hermit, I'm sure most people won't agree with my definition.
Okay.
As someone who has
Registered. Where does one register? Where's the hermit register?
self-professed, I guess. Yeah.
I prefer registry.
yeah,
I just like the idea of like hermits having to go somewhere to register to be a hermit.
Right next to the sex offenders. Different line. We shame them, but
Like
you
they
know,
have to go. No, if you want to be a hermit, we have to agree that you're a
I got to go
hermit.
knock on doors and
Right,
introduce
like-
myself. Hi, I'm a hermit. You'll never see me again.
Right, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why.
That house is not abandoned. I do live there. You'll never see me again.
Sorry, so your definition of love would be what?
Mutual infatuation.
Mutual. Oh, well, okay. Again, though, you guys are still saying that there's two parties in this. Why can't love just come from one party?
Wait,
well,
Sean,
yeah,
two,
I mean,
two people having sex is love?
no,
No, that's not. What you're
no, mutual infatuation.
Right.
That's mutual infatuation.
No,
No,
having
it's
sex
not.
with someone does not require infatuation.
Right.
In
But it
fact,
can.
It can.
It
Certainly.
can, but it
Yes,
doesn't.
but that doesn't necessarily mean it's love.
Right. And
Exactly.
if
That's
they
what he's
if they
saying.
are mutually infatuated and they have sex, that's completely
Then it's
outside
love.
of it. Whatever. But if they're mutually infatuated, then they are in love. I would consider.
No,
that.
I don't think that's true. That's what
I
I'm
mean-
saying. I don't think that's true. I think infatuation is something different than
Okay, then
Love.
what's your definition of infatuation?
infatuation. I think can be a lustful, physical thing. Can it? And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the
What is it? Not what can it be,
emotional
just
and
what-
mental. Where love is, I feel, is distinguishable by having that.
I would define that as horniness.
Right.
What?
If it's purely physical and it doesn't matter who it is, you just need to get your rocks off. That would be horniness. I don't believe that would be infatuation.
True. I just think, I don't know, infatuation I don't think implies the extra level of companionship and I don't know. And then
Well, once again, you're still implying that there's two parties involved in order for something to be defined as love.
Yeah.
Where I'm suggesting that
That's
it's
true. It doesn't.
from the one. Yeah. Why can't
I
we
agree with
define
you.
love as just from one party?
I
Because
think
you're
that
saying mutual
we can.
infatuation.
Right.
You're
You
simply
can
saying
you
a
can simply
connection,
love
like,
something. You don't have to be in love with something.
Well, if
No,
the,
no, what? No, no.
Obviously, but I'm just
If
saying
the
that's the
infatuation-
one party part of it.
if the
But how is
infatuation
that
is
not
one
love,
way,
though?
if it's one way, it's stalking.
It's still love.
No, it's unrequited love.
It's still fucking love, though. How is that? What's the
Well,
difference?
we
What's
don't
the
know what love is. We haven't even gotten there yet.
Baby, don't hurt me.
Don't hurt me.
Okay.
I want to
no
hurt you
more.
guys.
So, no, what? So, Mr.
Again,
O'Brien,
yes.
what is your definition of love?
My definition of love
Yes.
is a little bit too vague. I'm not sure. So if we want to talk scientifically speaking, right? That's what I've kind of already
Sure.
described. And
Let's
I think
try
that's the Well, no, that's what I said. If you were able to kind of ask someone,
Yeah.
as far as what we all call love is sort of an I don't know, man, right? It's tough.
That's why we're
fittingly
talking about
enough.
it.
That's why we're sort of tinkering with it. Politically speaking.
Oh,
But
there we go.
Damn.
See what he did.
Oh, wrong button. There we go. Sorry.
I don't know how to feel about what just happened. I don't know if you were praising me. It's very much how I feel when I'm in love.
How apropos.
My definition of love, again, it's too transient. Like if we talk about scientifically speaking, I think it's very much quantifiable, and it does come from one party. There doesn't have to be another party involved. I think you can define love. What I would sort of define as love, for the most part, is a combination. See, that's the thing. It's tough. I don't think from a scientific standpoint, I don't think it's sustainable to sort of feel the way someone says they feel when they're in love your entire life. I don't think that exists. I don't think at the very least, I think it's unhealthy for someone to just be in love their entire life, right? So, okay, well, then you have to start to say, well, then at what point are you out of love? And someone will say, well, I'll never fall out of love. And okay, so you feel that way the whole time, your entire life? It doesn't seem to fit, right? So what most people call love is probably a little bit closer akin to infatuation and sort of lust and that general stuff, but then it trends toward a devotion, a sense of obligation towards someone else. It has a more familial element. So I think love, in a weird way, it can be both. It just it depends on what you're talking about. Hence why I think it's a little bit too vague of a term.
Well, yeah, love itself is a very broad term. I mean, you love your children, you love your grandparents.
I love
my
James
cat.
Joyce. I love Shakespeare.
Exactly.
I love the sun. I love space.
Exactly, and I think that's part of the problem, is that it's, like fuck. It's ubiquitous. It's
I love fuck though.
Yeah, I love to fuck.
There you go.
But it's one of those things that can be substituted for so many different words and so many different really emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, we apply the word love to a lot of different things, to romantic love, to a kinship, to someone that you spent time in a foxhole with. You love your brothers in arms. You love your teachers. You love your books, whatever it is.
I love scotch.
Scotch. Yeah, I mean, so I guess sticking.
So then where do we go from then if it is just an I don't know man in the first place?
Because of our position relative to the sun at this point in time, I would
just Valentine's Day.
Indeed.
Okay.
Romantic love, I think, is the bigger question. So
can you be in love more than once? Well, okay. We still need to define what we mean by love.
Okay, so I think
let's distinguish between romantic and familial.
Okay.
Let's start there.
First off, romantic and familial. Obviously, whether or not you want to put your dick in it.
No, I understand the difference.
I thought you said that's what you said, to
saying,
establish the difference.
I'm asking to establish it, not to clarify it.
I think that was both.
Sure, it was. I think me just saying there is a difference was the clarification.
All right.
I don't think you needed to get fucking smutty about it, but it's fine.
Hey,
I'm
man,
kidding around.
I'm 2 Long Island iced teas in here, man.
Perfect. I'm keeping it classy.
So if it's not too personal, you certainly don't have to answer. But do either of you feel that you have ever actually been in love in that classical sense?
So again, which one are we talking about? Obviously, not
romantic
the
love.
Romantic love.
That idea of when people talk about falling in love, when people talk about romantic love being paired with their soulmate, that bonding or whatever. Do either of you feel that has ever been a part of your life?
Joey.
to a small extent, but I've never had a.
So no.
I'll say no. I should say no.
You never been in love?
I've never had a serious relationship like that where I've been like, no.
But have you ever, just been completely infatuated by someone?
Totally, absolutely.
Okay. See, and I think that's different. I think that's the difference between a relationship and stalking. And I don't think that you can call someone that is a stalker a lover or a romantic.
Well, you can say they're in love.
I beg to differ. I do think that, especially in romantic love, it requires the participation of the second party for love to exist. I think that beyond that, you are love is a relationship in my mind. Love is a mutual shared
What about
space.
the love addicts, though, Sean? Those people are addicted to what the stimuli that he was saying about love.
Again, I think that's I think we're using the term love too broadly there. And I think what they're actually addicted to is those physical chemical releases that happen, those heart palpitations.
So here's the issue that I would have.
Adrenaline release of new people.
Here's the issue that I would have with your definition, right? I think from a poet standpoint, at least, I don't think any poet would agree with you in that sense.
I've never called myself a poet.
No, I'm saying from the poet's perspective.
Yeah. And I've never been on the side of the poets.
But, right. Yeah, but from that perspective, I don't think that any of them would agree with you. So if you're talking about the classical point of love, I think that's what you mean by the classical point of love is like what kind of, what the poets herald and describe as what love is, right?
I suppose, yeah.
I mean, I don't think any poet would be like, oh no, poet is like a mutual respect between two parties when they kind of agree to spend their lives together, and one person wipes the other person's shit later on. Like, I don't think that's what any poet would say is love. I think it's that completely infatuated element of it, which by your definition would not be the classical sense.
I guess, yeah. I don't believe unrequited love is love. I think that's too broad of a definition for the term love.
Well, no. Then you're just saying that you think love, so then you have to redefine what you mean by the classical version of love.
I suppose,
or just not use that, because the classical version of love is
poets.
I would almost argue more unrequited than not. Like most poets
totally
are unrequited love across the board.
I guess I mean the more Hollywood definition of love. That sort of
it's still unrequited. Like half the fucking movie they're spent with it and not.
But
in
they
love.
end up with them.
Well, sure, but then why are we watching? We assume they're in love as we're watching.
Yeah, I suppose.
We like the struggle.
So is there another term then that applies when it's mutual?
I mean, I think devotion. I think mutual respect and devotion is a more appropriate term for what you're talking about.
Okay, so then what is love?
Your fucking cat just jumped on your lap, and that was the sweetest thing I've ever heard in my life. As you're asking what love is,
indeed.
I don't know that cats love, but
no, I'm just the one that provides the food. I would be sad if something happened to him, certainly.
But you don't love the cat?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I know he doesn't love me. So by my definition, no.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. I first of all, I don't think two parties should be involved in either definition. I think you can have devotion and respect, and you can love someone else in that kind of longevity sense that we're talking about, where you sort of always care for them. Sorry, I hit another microphone. I was like, what the fuck? You have a longevity, devotion of longevity, right? Which is another element of love, which you can just have toward one person, whether they care for you or not. I mean, a person can be completely insane and they can be catatonic, and yet you still love them, right? In that devoted sense. So under your definition, you still don't need two parties, regardless of the fact. And then, of course, there's the first part. Now, great if you're both reciprocated in that complete infatuation in the first romantic sense, and you're completely it's completely reciprocated in the second sense.
Then I guess that is a relationship.
Sure, yeah, but no matter what, the question is, have we ever been in love, right? And if we're talking about, and I wanted to clarify in the classical sense, you're talking about just completely head over heels.
I suppose.
I would say that is the classical definition of love.
Yeah, that would be true, I would think.
Okay, cool, good. So, Joey, continue.
So establishing that it doesn't have to be mutual.
It doesn't have to be mutual, and it is that first
I don't think it has to
about,
be mutual. I agree mostly with you, Sean O'Brien. I think that it doesn't have to be mutual. I think that the feelings of love can be the scientifically feeling that you were talking about earlier. I think you can love your cat, and the cat can't love you, obviously.
Hopefully, just in the devoted sense that we're talking about, in the latter.
Not in the
Yeah.
bestiality.
Yeah, obviously.
We should maybe clarify that part with the what the romantic love versus devotion love that we're talking about. That first kind of crazy infatuation.
Whether or not sex is involved, essentially.
No, not necessarily. Because there still can be sex involved in the devotion element of it.
Yeah, those feel separate to me.
Okay.
Not mutually exclusive, but separate.
Okay, talk about it.
No, there's really nothing to talk about. I just feel like devotion is.
But you can have the same devotion toward a. Well, that's the funny thing. Like your wife and your kids, you're going to have sex with your wife, and you have a similar devotion.
Right. You can have devotion with it. Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive. We can have devotion, and we can have desire for sexual contact, but those aren't necessarily the same or applied to the same thing.
Okay, I think that's what I was saying anyway.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing in more words. We get paid by the word here, just like you silly ass writers.
Exactly, we got them all. Joey, continue.
So
talk about your love.
Well,
the first time.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question. Have you guys talked about?
You've never been in love?
I was making the joke that I was a virgin, but no, since you're asking me, no,
okay.
I've never been in love.
Got it. We'll talk about that too.
Wow. Okay.
We're definitely going to talk about that.
2/3 of us have not been in love. This is bad.
What do you mean?
I'm assuming you have.
Oh, 2/3 of us have not been in love.
You seem like a
You just
passionate
said
man.
I am only irreconcilably in love at all times. That's the way it is. Always.
Your default position.
My default position is love.
Wow.
I can't remember a time that I wasn't in love. I swear to God. And yet I haven't, been in a relationship in
Is this
6
directed
years,
toward? Yeah, but this is still directed towards specific individuals. You're not just in love with being alive. You're not just in love with humanity. You are in love with a specific person.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It's not even specific though, because it is just sort of, see, that's what's so weird about it. I guess no, then, but
Yeah.
even still, I'll go from being completely in love with a girl and completely in love with another girl. I never fucking do anything, but still, I'm just in love. I'm a poet.
Yeah,
at
that's
heart,
the thing.
So that's the way it is.
I can't. I just
You
have
can't
a real,
call what I
Yeah, I have a
am
real problem
is
applying
love.
the term love to that.
But that is the classical sense of it. So you don't have it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think infatuation is a better term for what that is.
Oh yeah, that's
describing.
fine. That's fair. I'm always only infatuated.
Right.
Sure.
So then, I guess classical definition is not what I'm looking for. But
Okay.
what I don't know what to refer to it as then.
Okay.
But there is, that sort of. I can only think of it as that sort of TV thing of
Yeah, it is very poetic.
Yeah, but
It really is.
again, anti-poetic as you were saying
It's the
before.
same thing, though. It's the same root.
Yes, but I don't even know, man.
You're trying to clarify the difference. You're trying to specify what I'm feeling, and you're saying it's not love, which is fine. I'm not like challenging you. We're clarifying the terms. What is love?
Right, exactly.
And I would say in the classical sense, I am only in love. But under your definition, no, I probably am not. I'm infatuated or whatever you want to call it.
So what is it that you
And also devoted though, constantly too. Like I'm just as much in love in this sense, in the devotional sense, to friends and family that I've known my entire life. To fucking you, I'd kill somebody for you. It's fine, no big deal. I wouldn't kill Joey because I love Joey too.
Damn. That was the first one on my list.
But don't you see? That's what I mean. It's just it's the same. That's what I mean, though. I'm passionate. I guess is probably the best way that you put it already. Right. So love is just a strong passion in a weird way, in both senses, in both the infatuation and just strong devotion toward family. It's just an elevated passion, and I just always only am in whatever that is.
I have a question. It's completely a digression, but is love evolutionary? Or would an alien race come up with love? Do you think it's specific to
Come up? What do you mean by come up with?
I don't know. Would they have
Would they evolve
Would they have
to
a
love?
similar concept of love that we have?
If we define it that way, sure. I don't think we have the same. I don't think
Yeah,
we
I mean,
clearly had this.
Do you think
table
it's
of-
evolutionary? Do you think we have to?
Yes, I think it is. I would.
Is it beneficial because of couples and marriage? Is it beneficial because of?
Well, it's a sense of other that I'm sure Sean's going to go off on, right? In other words, you're protecting your own. The strongest sense of protecting your own is what
for sure
will be defined later as love.
I don't disagree with that, but I was actually going to go off on a different tangent.
Oh. You don't want to answer Joey's question? It's the first time Joey asked the question. Like, you can answer.
No, I think I'm going to try and answer it.
Okay.
It's okay. If it leads to a rant, that's all the better.
In that, monogamy. Is monogamy the definition of love?
No.
In that, societally we've deemed that love is something that is beneficial because it starts to create a family unit. But this is only something that's been around for maybe a couple of thousand years. So based on evolution,
But it's still around.
What's that?
It's still around, though.
Yeah, it's still around.
Okay.
But I mean, there are other methods that we can use. There are societies out there that are more of a oh God.
Penguins are anonymous, or penguins are monogamous.
Right. And as much as I hate to
Which is
quote
why I
Hillary
love
Clinton,
penguins.
it takes a village. So there are many societies, especially, Aboriginal societies, that are built around the fact that you don't necessarily know who the parentage is.
Mm-hmm.
You have a group of people, you have a village where there is intermixing of people and everyone is one family. So that gene pool is protected by everyone.
But do they not all love each other, though? I guess that's what
that's
to go
the
back to
question.
Joey's question.
Or they
it's
all
like,
have that parental love.
Exactly. So
He said, "Is love evolution? Is love evolutionary?"
right.
Or is that's not your question?
Well, yeah, no, I think it is kind
actually,
of.
I was going to is monogamy evolutionary, but yeah, I took it wrong.
But I mean, I think we need to think about different kinds of love, and monogamy does lead to children. And I think the love.
Well, so does
yeah,
polygamy.
everything. So does rape.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, but I guess you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. I didn't think about it like that.
Gingis
But I guess I
Khan.
mean like the love that like a father and a son have is slightly different than that, and then the love we could have if they're different, or a father
Nambo?
and a daughter, whatever the fuck it is.
Right. Well, your question was: is it evolutionary based?
Yeah,
right
but
or
I
no?
do think it is a benefit.
I don't think that was your question. What was your question specifically?
Is it natural to evolution? Does it occur naturally?
So
Oh well, clearly, obviously. It
Well,
exists
well,
and does.
to say that, we'd have to
Think it
say
was-
that everything else loves.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Are there any-
Animals
that's not
don't-
true.
Yeah.
That's not true at all. I mean, we can experience love, and we can measure what we define as love.
Do
right?
chimpanzees have the same kind of love that we do in sense? Like, can we measure their scientifically?
I don't know. I would imagine.
Yeah.
We can certainly measure it scientifically,
Do
depending
you
on
think
what we've determined it.
I think they have.
They have a similar devotion.
They
toward-
probably, but I
well,
mean, do their neural synapses fire the same way that ours do?
Well,
Yeah.
no, but
Do
it
they
would be
get heart
similar, but-
palpitations when they see the
Maybe they do.
alpha male come into the group?
Sure, of course. Because again, it's the sexual arousal, right? Sexual arousal, heart rate increase. That would all happen. That happens with almost every kind of That's why peacocks have big ass fucking feathers and a whole plumage. For
So
the
I guess
for the females who experience
yes,
that.
you're
and
right.
choose
So
them
it just
evolutionary.
simply is evolutionary. The
Well,
answer is
yes, but but the
that's
question that you were asking more specifically
Sexual
was
drive.
right. Exactly. That's the difference. That's the distinction. But nevertheless, because of the fact that what we define as love, that devotional element, you said, where did that come from, right? And what I'm saying is that I think it's just as much societally based as it is evolutionarily based,
Sure.
right? And because it's the sense of other, like we sort of the reason that we kind of have love. Evolutionarily speaking, is because one person who was a sociopath who didn't empathize with the crew ultimately kind of, was brushed aside. And over time, that brushed aside became more and more. And that's kind of a common misunderstanding of natural selection, by the way, too. It's not like we evolved to choose the things that we have. It's just that the things that that aren't beneficial are mated out of time.
You're
Is
right.
that clear? Do
Yeah,
you guys
no,
understand that?
that's evolution.
You're
Yeah,
right.
Certainly.
You're right.
Well, I know, but a lot of people think that it's like that natural selection means that, because we need a fifth finger eventually will grow, or a sixth finger will eventually grow
It's
a
not
sixth
supply and
finger.
demand. It's
Exactly. It's the opposite. It's like if
Yeah.
someone has six fingers and that happens to be beneficial to everybody,
Yeah.
then
And
that
they
person
happen to get
will
the
mate
fuck
with
before
more
they
people.
die. Yeah.
Exactly. Then and everyone's like, oh, cool, it's six fingers. And so over millions of years, that ends up becoming the case. It's not like nature selects a priori, I should say.
a priori.
Before the fact. In other words,
Oh.
six fingers would be beneficial to society, and thus we need that.
You and your damn big words.
Sorry. It's not that big. It's Latin.
Oh, well, I speak English, motherfucker.
Go ahead. So, Joey, tell us about the time you were in love. I'm just going to keep
All
firing.
of the times.
Yeah, I think I'm actually similar to you, Sean O'Brien, in that I do fall in love somewhat.
Is that annoying doing that, by the way? Sean O'Brien and Sean Fau every time?
No, I feel like I just want to inform the listener.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it bothered you. It's fine.
I don't mind. I need
was
some
in-
way.
I was
I mean,
in
I guess I could call him Sean Nasty.
Don't do that. Don't fucking do that.
He's not. The funny part is he's literally the opposite of nasty. So it's
Well, that's why it's funny.
yeah, obviously
different show,
The
though.
irony, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Continue.
nice.
You're a lot like me. How are you a lot like me?
And then I fall in love probably frequently, and that it's not probably a healthy thing, I would say.
Why? First of all, so you're saying I'm unhealthy for being in love all the time?
I'll say I am.
Okay.
I think if it's unrequited, it is.
If it's what?
I'll
It's
say
unrequited?
I'll say
Yeah.
if it's unrequited.
Well,
it
but
is.
what if I'm channeling that? What if I'm using that?
Into a creative outlet?
Sure.
Then that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, you're finding a
How is it
use for
unhealthy?
it, but I don't
Yeah.
know that.
I'm sure I don't want it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't fucking like it.
Yeah.
I just have it.
It's like I could stub my toe and I could use that as the justification to
crutch
go on
for
a glorious
fixing-
rant here.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone wrote Layla
Yeah, but
from
the
a stubbed
value is
toe.
there, don't you see? It'd be just as interesting. It'd be just as interesting, if
The-
not more so. Like
the
you've then
value of
provided.
heartbreak, you fucking poets.
Of course, man. I mean, just think about the value of your rant, right? How fucking funny would that be? Captured here for all time, right? And then recorded over histories, and
I don't have
always
enough
remembered,
rage without it.
memorized. No, fuck your rage and fuck you. The whole point is you've stubbed your toe, and yet you've gifted the universe this glorious rant. How is your toe equal to that? I don't understand that. How is someone's unrequited love not? Stop it. Hi, Yuri.
His unrequited
How is
love
someone's
for food.
unrequited love, right, not in a weird way justified by what they've gifted to the world in that sense, if that's what you're doing with it?
Yeah, I suppose it is. I don't know. I feel like there's just a fundamental difference between using energy towards a different direction rather than harnessing that energy for its intended purpose.
But what would be the intended purpose of the
Procreation.
anger stubbing your toe?
Oh, I was talking about the love thing. No, there's no intended purpose of stubbing your toe.
So then why would there be any intended purpose of the amount of love you feel towards someone?
procreation?
What difference does it make, though? Why? I mean, okay, if that's the case, then if procreation is the goal, then why isn't your poem of unrequited love, right? Let's imagine the fact that then sort of, what's the word? God damn it! What the fucking the poet over here
One
can't even think of the
drink,
goddamn
man,
word. It's
Aren't
not
you,
the drink. I'm trying to think of the best word. Like
You writers
obviously
are supposed to be
motivation
great
is
drunks,
right.
man.
Yeah, motivation is the right word, but I'm trying to think of the more anyway. Whatever. Let's say that motivates.
Yeah.
God damn it! I wanted to think. What's the good word I'm thinking of? Anyway, let's say that
A
motivates.
synonym for motivate?
I'm sorry.
Synonym for
Incentive?
motivate?
Not a synonym, but sure. Okay. Yes, ultimately a synonym for motivate. But
Listeners, please assume that Sean O'Brien used a much more eloquent word when
Listeners,
describing this.
please tweet Sean O'Brien and tell him the exact word.
I'm
he
not on
used.
Twitter, but sure. Let's just say your poem, right? God, I need that word. Whatever. Motivates thousands upon thousands of people, right, to go and carpe diem, if you will. And they finally, confess their love and profess their love
And they
to
all
every
get to procreate.
exactly. And all of a sudden, there are millions upon millions of lives because of that one poem. By your definition, it's still fine.
You still didn't do your genetic duty of passing on your
Yes,
genome.
Oh, your genetic duty.
Yeah. You are depriving humanity of your genetic diversity, essentially.
What about his ideals, principles? Those are just as important as his genome.
No, but
Are
he's
they?
right. Like
No,
my,
of course not. I'm just
Damn
being.
it, no, he's right. I guess.
You
So
hate it when
in other
that
words, you're
happens,
just
I know,
saying that,
but-
like, so you're saying that every poet is obligated to. It doesn't matter how many other lives that they've created because of their poem. They are genetically obligated to mate. Period.
I mean-
not so much with the one that they love. See, that's the tough part
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
What if they just channel that love toward someone else in a weird way that actually does love them?
Yeah, I mean, eventually all things work out, I guess. But, this coming from someone that is pondering getting a vasectomy for no reason.
That's fucking crazy. What are you talking about? Sorry, I'm chewing ice on the radio.
No
it's
worries,
sort of
man.
funny.
We're not on the radio. Doesn't matter.
Right. What is on the internet? On
I'm sorry?
a podcast? Like, I mean, we can't say on the radio.
Yeah.
Just say on the internet.
We're not on the air. We're
not on the air.
We're in
We're
them
in the
digits,
web. In the web.
in the cloud.
In the
In the cloud.
yeah.
Part of the one. I don't know.
Yeah.
What, you pondering a vasectomy just for fun?
What's
For
that?
shits and giggles?
Getting snipped.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm saying that I know I have no desire to procreate. I do not want to pass on my genetics.
What's wrong with
whatsoever.
your genetics?
Wow, interesting.
No, it has nothing. I don't really care. I mean, I donate sperm. I don't care about that. It's just I have no desire to raise children. So in my sort of twisted view, I think that love is an extension of that evolutionary process that perpetuates the DNA. And so to me, the purpose of love, the purpose of getting those butterflies is to force you to go and mate and to pass on your DNA. So if you're not going to do that, to me, that undoes the biological entity that is love, if we can even call it that.
Well, I don't know if it undoes it. Why does it undo it?
It invalidates it.
How can it be invalidated, though?
In your specific instance, so you have a drive to procreate. Your chemicals are all pushing you in that direction, and you do not fulfill on that. If you were to never procreate, then that would be a waste of all of that chemical input, essentially.
What do you mean by waste?
It would be unsuccessful chemical input.
But again, what if you? Why? What is
Genetic diversity, sustainability.
A genetic dead end.
Well, but again, we'll go back to that whole point that I'm talking about of the value of the poem.
Yes, it could be possibly mathematically proven that by you abstaining from passing on your genetic material, that somehow encouraged multiple others to pass on material that they would not have otherwise.
I'd just like to thank math then, in that case. Thank you, math, for proving my point.
No, I mean, it's certainly possible.
You're welcome.
I love math.
I still think that in your individual case, the whole goal of that mechanism that is within you is to pass on that genetic material.
Right.
So if your specific material is never passed on, then that has been in vain, essentially. I don't think genetics operates on, getting back to your point of what is actually evolution. There is not a thought behind evolution. There is what was successful. And there's no way for
all right. Well, why is procreation such a good thing? Let's start there.
Sustainability. Without procreation, we wouldn't be.
But to the individual, why is procreation of so much worth to each individual?
I can't answer that from someone that doesn't want kids.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think it's. I don't think. Well, no. You're still okay. Genetic diversity, still in that sense. Why is genetic diversity, a particular individual's genetic diversity? Or I'm sorry, why is genetic diversity of so much worth to a particular individual?
The vast majority of studies that have been done on people picking mates are based on unconscious decisions that actually push people to find the most genetic diversity in their mates. So people are, when they do studies on pheromones and the way that people smell, they are actually looking at their immune system, and they are really subconsciously looking for people with as completely divergent immune systems from themselves as possible, because inherently as people we know that as entities we know that the more diverse our genes are, the more healthy our offspring is going to be. Interbreeding is long proven consciously to bring about birth defects, but subconsciously we know that as well, and we try very very particularly to stay away from mixing that, and that's something that exists in the entire animal kingdom. Most prides will not intermarry. If you talk about like lions and things, the male lion goes off and finds a new pride of females, but they don't fuck their mothers and sisters. They try and get that genetic diversity. So to me, that's where that all stems from.
Which is fine for the society, but I'm not sure that encompasses the individual's obligation to do so.
No, the individual's obligation is to produce the most successful offspring. And so without a genetic diversity, your offspring are not going to be successful.
Yeah.
So that is your legacy.
They're more
essentially.
susceptible to diseases, I think,
Yeah.
is the big one.
More deformed, more susceptible to diseases, weaker, peanut allergies.
What if you were in love with your cousin? In that sense that you're talking about, that sort of like intense sensation that you're talking about.
Yeah.
What if that's directed only toward your cousin,
That is,
or toward your sister or brother?
That is where we got monarchies.
I understand what I'm saying. Right, that's what I mean, though.
Most of them weren't in love. Those were arranged, but
the
yeah.
other way around.
Yeah.
We got monarchies, and then in order to like connect,
Yeah, but
protect the
naturally
blood,
those
we feel like-
monarchies got hemophilia,
Exactly.
literally,
That's
and
right,
those
exactly.
would literally die out according to evolution.
and that's
so-
my
Right.
point.
And that's important to note. Yeah.
I guess I'm. Could you reiterate?
You're
your
saying
point?
it's invalidated, right? Your sensation of love is invalidated if you do not procreate.
I think. Yeah. Okay.
Now,
yeah.
but what I'm saying is, what if that infatuation / love / whatever the fuck you want to call it is toward another,
Yeah.
is towards someone who would promote or who would not add to the genetic diversity.
That individual connection might be a wiring gone wrong or gone haywire or something like that, but that is
so
still.
in other words, you're saying that in that case, they ought not to. They would be better by not procreating. Period.
Well, they would be better by. They would possibly be better by not procreating with each other, but they, they could certainly go elsewhere. And just because they are cousins doesn't necessarily mean that their offspring is going to be useless.
No,
it
sure.
just has a much lower chance of being a productive member of society.
But then is their love invalidated by them not procreating? Do you see what I'm saying? Like you were saying that your love is invalidated by not procreating in that sense. But I'm saying is, what if your love, quote unquote, is towards someone that would not produce the most genetic diverse offspring?
Right, but even I don't think that you have to get. Don't make perfect the enemy of the good. You don't have to be making the perfect child to be fulfilling your genetic destiny.
Okay.
Are the
Fair
Lannister twins in love? Is the question.
Yeah, of course.
They're
Yeah.
twins?
No, they are.
I didn't
Of
think they were
Yeah,
twins.
they're twins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Aren't they?
alright.
Yeah, they're twins.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Right on.
I have a question though. Does this go? How do we view Freud's Oedipal complex in this relationship? I mean, theoretically, some crazy. We want to find a mate like our mother,
Mhm.
right? So, what isn't that against what you're saying, and that we want to go against genetic diversity?
Well, I mean, you're taking the assumption that Freud is infallible.
I'm not saying.
Right.
You're right. That's true. I'm just saying he's correct. I don't know.
You are saying that?
I mean, I think it's pretty. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
So you want to have sex with your mom? is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I don't know that that's
And you wanna
necessarily
kill your dad?
inherent.
No, but I'm saying that according to Freud, there's some sort of subconscious thing in all of us, right? According to the smartest psychological mind of the 20th century.
I don't know. if he's the
Yeah,
smartest
that's
Okay, I'm
legitimate.
just-
He's the coked out fucking.
Okay,
crazy
fine.
guy.
So Freud is a fraud.
I watch enough Frasier to know there's at least a debate. So
There's absolutely a debate.
Okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
thought that he was decidedly the godfather of modern psychology.
He is absolutely the godfather of modern psychology.
I thought we should,
We
take what
can
he
acknowledge him, sure.
but we can take what he says as
We can
legit.
acknowledge Shakespeare or Sophocles
So you're
for that
saying
matter in the
wait,
same
so I don't
way.
understand. So you're saying the Oedipal complex is not true?
No, I'm not
it
saying
depends
that.
on
Or is-
which.
right.
It's psychology is kind of like religion, where there's different sects of it, and different people subscribe to different things. Some people really believe that dream therapy is a thing, and that when you're dreaming, things actually are manifestations of your real life.
Sure.
Some people just think that dreaming is downloading of your brain and getting rid of things. Some people just think that it is nothing and it is random neurons
Right.
firing. Psychology has different warring factions, essentially. So
On the dream specifically, and then the
Yeah.
other element is this kind of infatuation, sex thing you're talking about.
Fair.
right. So I mean
What drives a person's kind of id, ego, superego element of it? That's sort of what you're talking about ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest argument essentially is that just Freud was obsessed with sex. So
Right.
everything about him, his work was obsessed with
Sometimes
sex.
a cigar is a big dick.
Yeah.
Back to
And-
Carlin.
That's what he said, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it's just Groucho Marx. Yeah. So,
So again, we're not invalidating Freud. We're simply saying that it's
it's not a given.
right, exactly,
Okay.
not at all. But I think your question ultimately had to do with what I was already asking, which is what is that person's love invalidated, right, or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and that's the question: is it still love if it's? Yeah, I think it is.
Yes, I think it's still love.
It is.
I think it's still love.
Yeah, it is. I guess.
Totally.
Yeah.
By what we define as love, sure.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's misplaced genetic ambition, but it is.
You keep going back to this genetic obligation. I love it.
Well, isn't that where everything stems from? I mean, isn't that the whole point of love? I mean, doesn't that exist in order to create a unit, to create a place for?
Well, no, not necessarily. I'm saying, love can create a society too. Love can be there as a benefit to society,
Right, and that's just
not
bigger,
just
society is a
large
bigger
society.
extension of family.
Yeah, you're saying
though.
the same thing.
Society is
No, what I'm saying is the devotion. It doesn't have to be procreation.
but it is all about that. I mean,
creates
whether,
a
No, it
better
doesn't have to
society.
be all about procreation. Procreation literally can just be that sort of byproduct of nature that no matter what. But perhaps the reason that we're evolutionarily speaking able to have such a sustainable society is because of our love for one another and our protection of one another.
right. But what I'm
Which is
saying
the
is
same thing as love is just different.
Yeah, I'm just saying society is an extension of that that need for procreation. So society exists to take care of us going into the future. So the idea is that, people, once we procreate, we have to establish a system for those people to continue to keep going.
Homosexuality.
Mhm.
There's no procreation.
horrible.
There's no procreational element to that,
Mhm.
and yet that's love.
Again, if we're going to go with my theory, and I know some would chastise me for
Totally.
continuing with this thought, but essentially, that would be misplaced genetic or misplaced evolution.
But it exists in many animals.
It does, but it is.
How can it be misplaced in general? Is what I'm saying. I mean, it's just there, right?
Yes.
In the same way that kind of like well, no matter what, it's there.
It is, but I mean
So how can the whole purpose of something be simply procreation across the board, simply kind of perpetuation of the species, quote unquote? Because even if I grant you the element that perpetuation of the species is inherent in in all actions, it's still a devotion and a protection of another is still going to perpetuate that species.
All right, so I was trying to avoid saying horrible things. And
We could tell.
You can go. It's okay. I will back you up. We all love you.
It's just because I don't have firm beliefs here,
Okay.
and it's more of an intellectual exercise. But the reason we masturbate is for the same reason.
Okay.
It's for that genetic drive, but it's a release of that genetic drive in an artificial way. So I think that when people are homosexual, they are experiencing those same chemicals, those same reactions, but it is misplaced genetic motivations.
It's possible. I'm not sure your definition would would fall in line with most scientists or anthropologists.
Well, no, I'm struggling here because there's the idea that you're born gay is kind of a weird concept, especially evolutionarily speaking, because there's no way to really pass that on. We can have latent genes, but that should
there's no way
really
to pass on you being sort of born with Down syndrome necessarily.
Well, that's a little different. That's missing a piece of your genetic structure, so that's
but your definition
Downs
is
is
the same
extra
thing.
genes. Never mind. But
but you're saying it's misplaced kind of gene makeup, I guess, right?
I suppose, yeah.
So by your definition, it's the same, and yet both exist, and both are, and again, in all other animals, it's the same thing, right?
I don't know that all animals have homosexuality within them.
Yes, they do. Bonobos probably are the clearest example of it.
But bonobos fuck everything. I mean, that's
what I'm saying.
That's pansexual. Then that's not. That's a little different. Then
well,
I
think that they do have kind of mutual. I guess that's fair. I guess you're right. I think you're right. I don't know if there is a monogamous homosexual relationship in the bonobo community. Is it bonobo or bonobo?
I've always heard bonobo.
Bonobo.
Yeah.
I feel like I've always heard British people say bonobo. Maybe that's why.
Well, Brits
they
are
also
dumb.
say Zed.
Yeah.
And aluminium. Yeah, whatever.
Aluminium?
Yeah, there
and
you go.
Zed.
Zed. Yeah,
Right?
I do kind of prefer Zed.
I prefer Zed too.
Yeah,
Zed makes more sense.
Zebra.
Yeah, a zebra.
That's
There's like the
nice.
whole joke of like, EZ Pass.
Hmm?
On the East Coast, there's something called the Easy Pass.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh.
So it's just spelled like E was
Yeah,
V.
yeah.
Right on.
And like a British, I feel like it was Eddie Izzard.
Yeah.
Was joking. He's like, I didn't understand EZ Pass. I didn't get it. It took him forever. Well, again, so I'm not sure your theory would hold up, man, with most scientists or anthropologists. I don't think it works.
Are we
Never
ignoring?
claimed to be a smart man. I'm just trying
You
to
are
work
very
through
smart. That's the beauty of it. But you could be wrong. You
well,
could
no,
be wrong
and
here. Your theory
I-
could be very wrong.
Yeah, no, don't
Because it
ta-
doesn't hold up. That's the
Well,
problem.
yeah, and don't take that to mean or to think that I am anti-homosexual.
No,
But isn't that ignoring the Kinsey scale? Isn't it ignoring
Exactly.
like the
Yes.
spectrum there?
that in
Describe the Kinsey scale for everybody.
I don't. I'm obviously I'm not an expert, but I guess it's just a spectrum of sexuality, right? Whether right
Sexual orientation, where you
sexual
fall,
orientation,
so you-
whether it's one end or the other, it's
There's 1 through 5, and 5.
Oh, I
is-
didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, it's 1 through 5.
Sure.
yeah,
Okay,
what,
so-
what is it? 5 is straight and 1 is gay, or something like that, or the other way around.
I think it's the other way
Essentially,
around.
yeah.
I think 5 is complete. Well,
Sure.
no, I think you're right.
Completely
Fi-
hetero and completely homo.
Well, you
Right.
could use whatever scale you want. You could use 0 to 100. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
use-
it
it's
doesn't
a percent-
matter.
It's like you use a percentage or
But
whatever.
there's the idea is that there is a fluctuation. There is
Sure.
a sliding scale.
Yeah, and that's the. I mean, I just think that there are homosexuality. There's got to be homosexuality that have procreated. That therefore, if they are born homosexual,
Mhm.
those genetics have been passed on. So
Ri-
theoretically, they have been on some sort of scale where they have been homosexual to an extent, whatever that means, to or some part of that scale,
Yeah.
and been enough on that scale to procreate. So
Yeah, it just feels like mathematically that doesn't work out so well. But that's just me pontificating. I don't really know anything.
Well, unless it's a question of like population control,
Yeah,
genetically speaking, if you're talking about
that is
evolutionarily.
certainly a theory that once
Mm-hmm.
a population gets to a certain level, or once the balance of male to female gets to a certain level,
The homosexual gene will start to be perpetuated because of it.
yeah, a sort of self-destruct mechanism within a genome, essentially.
I don't know if it's self-destruct.
Well, at least a self-curtailing
Okay.
mechanism, a limitation on the procreation of an individual species. Certainly.
Okay. I think that's
maybe
fair.
it's a reset button. Maybe.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
be a reset. It wouldn't be a reset button either. I think
Yeah, not a
sometimes,
reset,
right?
but more of just a holding back, or
Why would
a
you holding back
culling.
though? I guess that's the thing. Like, I mean, why is
I guess
perpetuation of
not,
species
I think
such a thing? Because you said that you think there's too many people in the world anyway, right?
Yeah, this was to our lost episode, I believe, but yeah,
Oh fuck, that's in the last episode.
Damn it.
that's where I wanted
there's
to
too
blow
many
everyone up.
That's
Yep.
right. Well, no, that was just in the island of Politinkering. I keep pulling your thing. I'm sorry. That's what she said.
Hi-oh.
Nice. Thank you, sir. Again, I don't know why there's so much value put on this perpetuation of the species.
Oh, I just feel that that's the reason that it exists in the first place.
Then, but it might. Okay, the reason that what exists in the
Love.
first place.
So
I'm not going back to love.
I'm sorry.
I'm starting with why is perpetuation of the species such a great thing that you're talking about?
Oh, it's not a great thing. I've already said I don't want to perpetuate anything about myself, but it is the prime directive. It is.
Yeah, if you're a fan of life, it's a great thing.
Exactly. It's.
I don't think that's necessarily true. Perpetuation of the species is not the prime direct. It's not the fan of life. It's not being
Well,
a fan
it's
of
what
life.
life is, isn't
yeah.
it?
Everything is existing to perpetuate itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the life cycle of everything. Most things die after they're reproductively useful.
Right.
Humans being one of the few exceptions, but it is all things in life are existing to perpetuate themselves. If they don't, then there was no reason for them to exist in the first place, for the most part.
But then obviously there's a point in which population control becomes an issue.
Yeah, certainly. In that,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just the prime directive.
Well, no. Population control is something outside of that, though.
Yeah, that's the other species interacting with it.
Yeah, that's the balance that comes into it. So one entity is always driving forward while there are opposing entities involved.
No, but then again, you're saying that the species itself can sort of start to control genetically speaking.
Well, we can because we've reached a technological
you're
state, but.
No, we're talking about homosexuality as
Right.
like a possibility for population control among animals. Period.
Right, and none of that is conscious, though.
Right. Well, neither is population control. But what I'm
Right.
saying is that we are talking about love, ultimately, right? So I guess we can bring it back.
I don't
if
think
we
it's
want.
population control. I just don't.
Oh no, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I
I
don't
was
think
just
that's-
entertaining the notion, but
And I was entertaining the notion too. I don't know if it is. I don't think it is, but I also don't care.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. It exists, and
Yeah.
and homosexuals are people, and they have just as much love as anybody else. And I wouldn't say that their love would be invalidated simply because they can't procreate. I
Oh,
guess that's my point. Ultimately.
Evolutionarily speaking, until we got to this point scientifically, I would say so. Now we are at a point where, what is it? I just read that the government is looking at legalizing 3 males producing 1 offspring. So you could take the genetic information from 3 different guys.
And you, of course, would be in favor of that.
I don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
Right. Well, you'd be in favor of it. You'd be more than right, philosophically speaking, wouldn't you?
Again, this gets into that whole genetic engineering and
right. So
GMO
it's not.
sort of
So at this
thing.
point, it's not so much diversity.
Yeah.
It's also just the engineering part, which you
Exactly.
aren't necessarily. in
Yeah,
favor
no, it
of.
has nothing to do with
Got it,
keeping
right.
gay genes alive or anything like
Right.
that. It has everything to do with are we
No, I was saying that like your argument was that genetic diversity is paramount in
Yeah.
a weird way, but also you're right. There's a certain point at which the whole GMOs argument starts to jump in,
And then
and
rushing technology to
Right.
production before we know anything about it,
I love how consistent you are. It's great. Just across the board.
He does have a very good moral compass or a set of rules he
Morality
follows.
doesn't exist.
Well, you're right. Your imaginary compass.
Yeah.
We don't need to go back there. Why would you tease us?
I'm sorry.
It's Valentine's Day.
we
We're just
settled
supposed
it.
to love.
Sorry.
settled
We didn't settle it. We
we
agreed
settled
upon the
upon
terms.
a term. Yeah.
We agreed upon the terms.
It's a sort of
morally
love.
justified.
Morally justified. I'm good with
It's what?
that.
It's a what?
It's a sort of love.
It's a sort of love.
The agreement that we have settled upon a term.
the love of not wanting to argue anymore.
Why the fuck are we still talking?
You're right.
Yeah.
Never
I'll argue.
mind. I take that back.
Keep in mind, guys. It's not a question of like we're not arguing.
Of course, it's a
It's
discussion.
It's discourse, which
Yeah.
is paramount. It's so fucking important to be able to ask any question you've ever wanted to anyone, ever.
I think that was in the first email I sent to you guys about Politinkering, is that I wanted it to be an open discussion that was not Fox News and was not NPR.
Right.
That I wanted something that we could...
You want it to feel like a bar.
Yeah, what a bar in my mind should be, which is
Oh, right.
completely different than anyone else in the world. But hence we have the drink
old
cart
bar.
now.
The
so,
old bar. Well, a dive bar.
Yeah.
We should do an episode in a bar one time.
Well, yeah, and the
could
idea
do
is
it.
just that, we should be free to discuss our ideas and opinions, but, still, I don't know, man.
Maintain the love.
Yeah, no, it's all about mutual respect and understanding.
Is that not
that
love?
we don't understand?
Is that not love in and of itself?
No.
It's not. Mutual understanding and respect?
Again, this is that really, really broad definition of love, as in I love my children, I love my grandfather, I love Fight Club. That is different than a romantic idea of love.
Mm-hmm.
And
But then why are they so different, though? That's what I mean. To you, so what is love to you, then? What is your definition of love if you just have to nail it down? Because I understand it's vague, and we can
Yeah.
and I agree with you that it's vague, but I'm comfortable using it for all those things.
I'm not. See,
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
So
I think we
would
need
you,
different
Would you
words.
prefer not to use love at all?
I would like different terms for romantic love and love for an object,
Right.
and love that is shared between parents.
Okay.
I think there needs to be a different
Let's
term.
start. Let's call them, because it's just us now. We can call it whatever we want. We can
Sure.
do
Let's
anything
solve
we
the
want.
problem.
Let's solve the problem. So what do you want to call whichever one you want? Pick one. Joey, pick one.
Parents.
Okay. What do you want to call your that feeling
Yeah.
toward your parents?
Well, let's not talk about my feelings towards my parents.
Got
That's all.
Toward the generally understood feeling toward one's parents.
Yeah. That what we call love between a father and son.
Right.
What should we call that?
Yeah. What would you like to call that?
Parenting?
Okay. Well, but the son.
Yeah,
thing.
that's that, and that implies the different
Yeah.
thing. I don't know, flibberty gibbet. Like,
Flibberty gibbet. Got it. So
It's not bad. Not bad.
So the connection between a father and son, henceforth, shall be known as a flibberty gibbet.
Okay.
They just flippity jibbered each other.
Ooh, that's
Yeah, it's actually kind of dirty.
Doesn't work. Doesn't
Yeah.
work. All right, let's try again. We can table flippity gibber though.
Right on.
I'm sure we can find plenty of definitions of that. That might end up, spoiler alert, being the definition for like romantic love that
That's
we're talking
quite
about.
possibly.
Which I think works great.
Can't we?
By the way, let me just jump in right now. I'm gonna
You're already
reserve.
talking.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna reserve love for. I'm gonna reserve like the classical love for that poetic love that we're talking about.
Wow.
I'm just gonna hold on to that now.
All right.
You got it.
Let's continue what
Yeah.
we're talking about. So when we get there, you fucking know that I jumped on that shit. The poet over here.
All right.
So, okay, father, son.
parental love. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about like something with paternal? Can we use that word? Like
I mean, is it enough to just call it parental love or romantic love? Or, I mean, that just feels overly PC and quantitative. But
yeah.
It is enough, of course. Like,
You're the one who wanted
obviously.
different words.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm the horrible person here.
No, I love it. Let's find the words. Let's find the words.
Yeah.
Joey, come on, tell me.
Well, are we still doing father to son?
Yeah.
I like.
Parental.
How about pat love?
Pat love. We'll just pat then.
Something with like the prefix and
They pat each other.
I
It's
see where
not.
you're
It's
going
not
there.
working.
Yeah,
It's not
there's-
working.
there's,
I'm trying.
What is that connection? Let's talk about the connection between like a parent and a child.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's
I
talk
think-
about what
Or
that is, and then
what it
that'll help
should
us
be.
determine the semantics of it.
I think we're not addressing the fact that a love between can create a good, healthy person in general, like a good, healthy love as a father.
Being loved, you mean?
Yeah, is a cycle, and it will create a better person in general and a
Yeah.
better member of society in
Okay.
general.
So
that
that-
is
So you better.
That combination of respect and caring and protection and
Resperation.
yeah,
Okay.
wanting
Resparing.
someone to
Ooh,
prosper.
resparing. Resparing. How do we like about that?
Resparing.
it's got like despair in it though.
Yeah, it's a
It doesn't have despair in it.
It feels a little
Respair
negative.
has despair in it.
yeah.
What? No, it doesn't at all.
It's both got pairs.
Where did the spare come from again?
You got-
respect and
Respect and what?
Parenting?
I think, and
Oh, so it'd be like resparenting.
yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Hence the respair.
I like the respect aspect. That's good.
Sure, respection.
So we should got that. We got the
So
paternal
the rest or the respect. So
Protection.
respection.
there's introspection in it because the spection's in it.
Yeah.
You're right. It's like rhyming two words.
Can we just call it baby birding?
Yeah, I'm okay with baby birding.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm okay with baby birding.
Baby birding.
I mean, even babying. Well,
Wait,
not baby,
baby
no,
birding?
baby birding. Baby birding.
Yeah.
Yeah, nurturing. I think, you know what?
Oh, you
Nurturing.
know what?
We have a
Oh.
word. We have a word for it. It's called nurturing.
Thank you, Thesaurus
That's
Rex.
the respect. That's the respect.
Nurturing.
Respurturing.
So
Because nurturing doesn't necessarily have to respect.
Yeah, that's true. Nurturing.
It does have respect, though. If you're
but you
nurturing
don't
the right
necessarily
way.
have to love to nurture.
Yeah, but
So-
still, you're still nurturing. Exactly, you're still
Yeah.
nurturing. Now, hence, and you. Oh, you're right. But the son isn't nurturing the parents. Well, maybe
Yeah.
in a weird way they are. But
That's
you're talking
the-
about the perpetuation. So like the cycle, nurturing. Let's just stick with nurturing.
Yeah, for
okay,
now. We'll
cool.
take-
Nurturing it is.
Right on.
All right, let's go with the classical love. What are we going to call classical love?
Didn't you already say we're calling that
Yeah,
love?
you get the fuck out of here. It's love. That's love.
You didn't
All right.
claim it.
Yeah. So I
That's
guess that
love.
brings us on to romantic love.
Oh shit! How is that different?
Then classical love.
Yeah.
Romantic love is when the penis goes in.
Oh, the sex part.
Yeah.
They call that sex.
Yeah.
But it has to be. You did not just giggle. You did not just fucking giggle when I said sex.
I think it was the delayed reaction of when the penis goes in and then the sex. It was just, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest here. I have to represent my young generation.
Fair enough.
That was
I
a
love
Parks and Rec joke.
I
sorry.
love it. I love it. When the penis. Oh, you're right. That was the Parks and Rec. Oh wait, was it The Office or Parks? and
No,
Rec?
Parks and Rec.
Okay,
Uh,
I believe you.
yeah.
I believe you. It's fine. Does it have to be reciprocated?
See that is still that argument that
And I don't
fall
mean
on.
consensual. I mean reciprocated.
Oh God. Yes.
I mean it's fair.
No. I do. My definition of romantic love is yes, that it is reciprocal. I think outside of that is when it's not reciprocal. That's when I think it falls under your definition of that classic poetic love.
Well, but it can be reciprocated if you're in the classical
Right.
classical sense too.
A square is a rhombus isn't a square.
Okay, so then what are you trying to call whatever the fuck you're talking about?
Fucking?
Oh, okay.
What about infatuation? Didn't we have that kind of in the bag?
Well, infatuation still implies one-sided.
To be honest with you, like my classical love is more the infatuation, but whether or not it's reciprocated is not.
But you don't want to. You
to.
don't want to unstake your claim to the word love.
You can call it infatuation, but that's the classical definition of like the poetic definition of love. For sure. I mean, I can't. I honestly, I'd be hard pressed. I mean, you're by all means. Tell me.
Oh no, I've never agreed with poets, and I'm not going to start now.
Okay. So you don't think the classical definition? You don't think what poets feel is love? You think it's all infatuation, and they've been fucking. They've hijacked the term in antiquity, and now it's there, but it should never have been called love in the first place.
Honestly, that feels very, very right as I hear those words coming out of your mouth.
Okay.
He is a poet.
It's a fair argument.
Is there an irony that he's a poet saying that?
No, it's just the philosophical standpoint that yes, there absolutely is an irony in it. All I've done is specify what he was thinking, and I don't really have an argument with that, other than the fact that it's our term and go fuck yourself.
Certainly understandable, sir.
So that's love. That's love. That's what I would say. Love is. Whether that's
a
actually
horrible little cartoon.
Exactly. Whether or not that's actually love, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I really don't know.
I know. Wait.
Yeah, go ahead now. You fucked it up.
Just kidding. I have no fucking idea.
When the politicians keep politicking, before you turn to excessive drinking, spend some time collectively politinkering with the show where I don't know, man. 'Cause the truth is I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
Love each other, guys.
I love you, Politinkering.